Core. Core. You are listening to Core, a show on Code Zero Radio that plays bands located in the Fox Cities. A show to find and discover new music. Hosted by Andy McNamara.
Hello, everybody. If you are living in the Fox Cities area, you no doubt have heard of my guests today. They are 3 albums into their illustrious catalog. I'd like to welcome to the studio More Than Mary. How you doing, guys?
Very good. Good morning.
Excellent.
You guys have been playing together, but I'll ask more specifically to you, Chad. You've been writing songs in this band for 8 years or longer.
That's the numbers guy over here. I'd say 8 years, right?
Sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, off and on.
And your first release was called Long Live Vinyl. That was the first official release,
Yes.
which was 2017. I believe that was recorded at Rock Garden Studios.
Yeah, all of them have been at Rock Garden.
What draws you to Rock Garden Studios?
Mark Goldie.
Mark Goldie, yeah.
Easy answer.
Good sound, good experience always. We've been happy with all the releases from there. It's just always been a good time.
And you've been in the band. You've been playing bass in the band since the inception of the band?
Yeah, I started the band on Craigslist.
You started the band.
I did, yeah. Might be a little misleading on what's online because he's kind of like the voice of the band, but I put an ad on Craigslist for a drummer and a guitar player, but here we are with this lineup many years later.
And Rick, you were the last one to join.
Yeah. Saving the best for last.
How did you get pulled into the fold?
Well, it was a struggle. I was it a Craigslist ad that I answered? I think it was.
I think it was.
And I got ignored for about a year. I think, wasn't it? No, I'm just kidding.
Wait a minute.
But there was like a weird thing where like you guys were looking and then I responded and then nothing and then like a year later, I think you guys reached out to Jason Lipsky, wasn't it?
I reached out to Jason.
Yeah.
And he gave me your name, and we didn't move on it.
And you guys were like, no, not that.
And then a year later or whatever, then you did a Craigslist thing.
But yeah, so
something like that.
It finally came together.
So yeah, it was like within 2 different ways it was going to happen because we got his phone number and then also through a Craigslist ad, so it was bound to end up like this.
It was destiny.
I'm persistent.
Density.
And Rick, you were drumming for other Fox Cities bands as well. I know Kurt Gunn was. Yeah. Was there any other bands?
At that time, I think I had just gotten out of the Electricolor. And I think I was still I had a cover band called the Benchwarmers. We did some 90s rock, which still kind of, I don't know, it's still off and on. It's off right now. But yeah, just kind of dabbling in stuff here and there. So doing fill-in stuff, studio work, stuff like that. So.
Either you guys in other bands, or were you in other bands at the time?
We were in a band called Celery Belly, early 2000s. I think that ended in about 2008 was our last show. Oddly enough, at Chadwick's, before it became what Chadwick's is, the old setup, and the bar was on the other side, I think. So we played there, and then Sour Belly disbanded, took a little time off, had a side project in between, and then Chris started More Than Mary. So,
but as far as multiple bands, no, it's been kind of like single file or single straight line, just one band at a time.
Eric Melchart says hi.
Hello.
Hey, Eric.
Hi, Eric.
Good morning.
Which camera are we on?
So did Sour Belly have any releases or anything recorded?
Yeah, there was 2. First one was called Midwestern Stars, and the second one was called what was it called?
Whip Snap.
Whip Snap, yes. And those are also out there on Amazon, I believe, and Spotify.
Probably iTunes.
iTunes, yeah.
So we'll kind of get to the beginning of More Than Mary, and then kind of progress to where we're at now. But first of all, what age did you guys start playing instruments at? When did you get interested in music?
Well, I think I did played viola in 3rd grade with the old Suzuki method. You had to do something like that, so I was kind of already into the 4 strings at the time. High school, got into baritone tuba, and then went electric tuba in the form of a bass guitar ever since. grade, I guess.
Yeah, I've been interested in music as long as I can remember, like Kiss Alive, Kiss Destroyer. Those are some of my first albums, and there was no turning back. Um, and been playing guitar. It's the 5th grade. Not really good, but just played more and more when the band started, of course. But I dabbled.
Self-taught or?
Yeah, self-taught. I've taken lessons over the years, but I just always go back to my bad habits. So,
I started, I think I was 31, so 13 years ago. My dad played drums a long time ago, and I just always wanted to do the same thing, and was working at a job, and I thought that was what I was going to do, and I got laid off, and I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm taking drum lessons. So took some drum lessons from Matt Gieske, actually, and did that for about a year and a half, and then just started joining bands and trying to go to every open jam I could, anything I could get some playing time in. And then started hosting some open jams, and kind of along the way got thrown into like playing bass and playing guitar and stuff. So I dabble in that a little bit now. But I've taken some lessons from Chad Saliga from Breaking Benjamin. Again, like he teaches you some really good stuff, but I just go back to my bad habits. So sorry, Chad. But yeah, and I've just been doing it ever since. So
Long Live Vinyl. The title, obviously, we've been going through a vinyl resurgence
Yes.
as of late. The tracks on that album are, I mean, they would sound good on vinyl, but it was never released on vinyl, was
right.
it?
No.
Have any of the three like official releases been released on vinyl?
No, but we did have the tracks mastered for vinyl through Justin Perkins, Mystery Remastering. So we've got them, but there's a situation where we don't want to cut a song, but the way some of the songs' lengths are, it doesn't fit well on a vinyl. We'd have to get like
yeah,
2
there's
records.
like a 20-minute album or a side length or something, and if you go over that and compress it, the quality gets less. So we've kind of held off, but Long Live Vinyl would be a good one to do on vinyl.
Yeah, the only one we have mixed down for or mastered for vinyl is the latest one.
Yeah,
right?
truth. Yeah.
We have a question here from Tony McNamara. He asks, have you ever toyed with the idea of adding additional members to the band? And what was your worst show and the best show? That's sort of 3 questions.
That is.
I'll take the additional members question. We've also put some Craigslist. I think we put Craigslist ad out for keyboard player to round that out. We didn't get any actual takers, but somebody did take our song "Doctor's Orders" and record like a slick Hammond organ track to it, and sent it to us and said, "Hey, I don't really want to do this, but this is what it would sound like." It was kind of like, what? Thanks.
Tease.
The Mark Goldie's recorded some instruments on some of
Yes.
the albums as well.
He's been on each album.
He's the master of the shaker.
He actually did the organ on Long Live Vinyl, the song.
Yeah.
That was kind of that was a pretty cool experience.
And that's the thing, we've had like Len Nelson played accordion on a track for us. We've had Amanda James came in and did some backup vocals. Chad's daughter did some vocals on a track. So we bring in people kind of, we hear a song and we're like, I think it needs this, and then we kind of seek whatever we need for it. So
Well, and there was the best show and the worst show question.
All right, I'm going to take best show.
thanks, guys.
Up Mile of Music this year, Appleton Beer Factory, the Saturday show we were supposed to have got rained out, and a lot of shows got rained out, so everybody came to Appleton Beer Factory at night, and it was bananas. It was bananas. Everybody was into it. People were watching and listening. Bass player was crazy. He was out there in the audience, almost giving them piggyback rides,
I have a wireless bass.
Yeah. That was great. It just kind of brought the whole weekend. It was awesome.
I would add to that maybe a 1B would be the Mile of Music bus 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
That's one that sticks out for me. But
Well, for those that don't know what the Mile Music Bus is, it's a bus, city bus, with the back seats taken. Well, some of the back seats taken out, and you get to ride around Appleton playing. How did you find that? Was it challenging to play Did you have a full set, or did you have
I brought a bass drum and a snare drum, and I mounted a crash cymbal on top of my bass drum, and just Chris was hanging half his bass out the window.
Hardest thing was staying
when you
upright.
take corners. Taking corners was a little difficult, but no, you couldn't have, right? You couldn't move. The bus was just packed, and everybody was into it. When we were getting ready to load in, there was people in line with signs and stuff. It felt pretty cool. So, and just the playing was, driving around and having everybody hear you as a bus drives by. It was a cool experience.
Are we gonna just drop the worst show
No, I'll
question?
I'll tell you the word. I had that ready. I knew you guys were gonna stick me with that one. And I wouldn't say worst in like this was a horrible show, but like most different from the picture that was painted would be actually the picture you used for the ad is the Tiki Bar show. They had a full stage, full production, drum set, everything. Then they said, just bring your breakables as a drummer. Bring your breakables. So we get there and it's sprinkling and raining and it's cold and they tarped off the whole stage and they had this little, I don't know, it was maybe 10 by 10, like little cabana that had like only half of it there. It was like a 45-degree cutoff, so it was like a triangle. And they stuck us in there and had people doing like acoustic sets and all I had was a snare drum. I had no cymbals, no bass drum, nothing, and we played a whole set. Like I said, and this is just my experience. Like you guys got to play your instruments. It'd be like if you guys were like, well, we only have room for one string on your guitar, and I'll play a show. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what it felt like. But we made it happen, and people loved it, and so kind of best to worst scenario. But like I said, it wasn't what we expected, but we made it work, and it actually turned out to be kind of a fun show. So.
All right. Well, thanks for the questions, Tony.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
If anyone else has any questions for the band while they're here, we have a call-in number that we'll put up shortly, and you can also just comment on one of the live feeds, and we'll pass the question on. All right, so back to the conversation about the albums. So Long Live Vinyl comes out, and then you follow that up with a album called No Calling.
No ceiling.
Oh, No Ceiling. I can't read my writing, you guys.
It's
Sorry.
early. It's Saturday.
You're not the only person that can't. It's just like I think we were on WAPL one morning and it was called The Ceiling.
Yeah.
So.
The different show I had Kirk on one time. I butchered Chesapeake.
Oh yeah.
Can't remember what I called it. I was way off though.
I remember that actually.
So you mentioned you recorded all those albums at Rock Garden. Was it easier going back to Rock Garden the second time for the second album?
I think it gets easier every time. I mean,
For sure.
working with Mark, I think it's twofold. Like he needs to kind of get an idea of what we bring there, and then us getting an idea of what he provides. And by the third album, I mean, we just gelled. You know what I mean? And he was like, hey, what about this? Like he was throwing ideas at us, and we, so yeah, it gets easier every time. And the fourth one's probably just going to be, probably won't even need to show up.
It's already recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you changed how you record there over time, as far as live or separate tracks?
We've done that. We generally do live. Long Live Vinyl was all live. No Ceiling. Was that all live? Yeah, all live. But we did a couple tracks on this latest album, piece by piece. Like Down was piece by piece.
Eve of Eve.
Eve of Eve was piece by piece. Then pandemic came, so everything was just kind of sidelined, obviously. And when we went back in, we tried doing a couple that way again, and it wasn't working. And then we did it live, and just snap. It worked much better. So
yeah,
we like live.
It just felt more natural doing it live. And by live, like we record the drums and bass. Well, we play all whatever. Yeah. We keep the drums and bass, and then he goes back and kind of does guitar and vocals and all that stuff, and we overdub all that stuff. So, but there's just more chemistry when we're all playing together. It just comes out better. Yeah. So,
are you writing? Do you have the lyrics finished by the time you go in the studio, or are you tinkering with those up until recording time?
Lyrics are usually finished by the time we go into the studio.
Just the solo that comes out while we're in there.
Yeah, Mark's challenged me with writing a solo or two, and I've had to come back the next day and like, bam, here it is. So,
does Mark ever provide like additional? I know he's recorded on some of the tracks. Does he ever give you guidance as far as this might sound better if you like shorten this or double this?
Oh yeah,
definitely.
The song Menominee. We went into the studio and I think I had like a kind of a train shuffle groove to it, and he was like, yeah, that's not working. and changed the whole drum setup, the whole like in the studio, and just played it different. And like what's recorded is that came out the day we were in the studio. So yeah, he kiboshed the whole thing on that one.
We've got another question here. This question is from DJ Bear. Thanks for let me borrow the camera. He says, "Good morning, you guys. You have songs called Nashvillean, Madison, and Menominee on the 2018 release No Ceiling. You also have a song called Chicago Sidewalk on the new release. Did you have other city songs that did not make any records, and what is the inspiration for these songs about these specific cities?"
He missed Duluth. We have one called Duluth also.
I mean, technically, Donut Farm's a location too, but
Yeah,
Is it?
that would be
it's a farm.
that would be you're the one that writes the lyrics. So I mean,
Yeah, I can't think of any other city songs off the top of my head that are out there that are unreleased gems. But yes, they all have a story behind them. That's just how it works, you know. I usually go somewhere and hopefully I can get some inspiration, even though I don't know it at the time. When I'm looking for something, I can go back to somewhere I was, like Chicago. Never been to Nashville. I don't even know how I came up with that.
Well, Nashvillean.
I thought it was a funny name.
Actually, you know what? It's that goes back. I called it Fake Nashville at one time, and that was a rip-off of, because it used to be more of a country swingy kind of song way back in its early version. And the Arctic Monkeys have a song called Fake Tales of San Francisco or something like that. So I must have been listening to that album. So bam, I called it Fake Nashville, and I don't know, turned it into Nashville for some reason.
Thanks for the question, Jerry. While we're at it, this was the question I was going to save for later, but now is a good time to ask it since we're discussing lyrics. I read over the lyrics for the new album yesterday, and they're very, like a lot of your lyrics, they're sort of almost like journal writings, almost like I did this, I did that.
Yeah.
You know, kind of. When you're writing a song, are you thinking in your head, well, I'm going to write it about this, or do you come up with like a chord progression and then just kind of start writing about whatever you're thinking about or whatever you're going through?
Yeah, it's both. Writing the lyrics are usually therapy kind of thing. So it depends. More often than not, I'll come up with chord progressions, and then I'll try to find lyrics to go over it, and I'll write a big long thing of lyrics, and then I'll have to chop it all down and have it make sense. You know, come up with a theme and chop it down. But it's been both. Usually, though, it's the music first.
The new album, Truth, it's a little darker
It
lyric
is.
wise.
Yeah.
Did the quarantine have anything to do with that, or
Yeah, quarantine and just life in general. Yeah, like I said, it's therapy.
anything we can work out today?
We'll see.
you have a coach you can lay on while we do this.
What time is it?
Eric had a question. Eric Mulchart, if I'm saying the name right. He said, "Who are your favorite local bands or people that you want to do a show with?"
You guys are looking at me, so I'll start. I don't know if this counts, but I will say prior to playing with Kurt Gunn, Kurt was probably one of my favorite. I thought he was probably one of the best songwriters in the Valley. And now I play with him, so I can't really use that as an answer anymore. I mean, I've always loved Kyle Megna. He's come, like, I don't want to say come a long way, because he was great when I first came across him, but he's just like evolved, and now he's just, I don't know, I can't explain it, but anybody that's ever heard him knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. Christopher Gold's another favorite, great songwriter, funniest guy on stage I think I've ever seen when he's not singing. So I don't know, those would be my big two, I guess.
I've been enjoying watching Michael Grabner's progression lately. Good
Yeah.
songwriting. His guitar playing is incredible, and he's actually fun to watch on stage as well. So I want to catch him soon. Haven't been able to recently.
I've been kind of stuck in a rut and not really paying attention to anything. Not in the interview, just like local music, you know. So any rockin' bands that are kind of like us, let's get together and put a show on. You know, it's just great meeting people. And since the pandemic, my mind has changed a lot. And it seems like, can I go out and see live music? Yes, you can go out and see live music. And we just got to get it to, multi-band, all-day festival. I want to do something like that.
There's these guys called Pudge. I've heard of them as
Yeah.
well.
Too kind.
What are you guys doing tonight?
Going to a birthday party.
Oh, okay.
I know. And let's talk about tonight. You guys are playing at Deja Vu tonight.
Yes.
How often have you been playing since everything's kind of let up a little?
Once a month?
Yeah, we've had a pretty decent spring, summer, fall this year. Way better than last year. I mean, for sure.
What was the first show that you did after the quarantine?
Ooh.
Is that Fletcher's?
Yeah, Fletcher's like May 5th or something like
Oh
that.
yeah.
Was it sort of a weird feeling getting back
was.
up there?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
We opened for Illuminati, and yeah, it was
Oh,
just
that's right.
yeah. It was,
We had some sound issues that night too. I remember it was
The
just
board died.
figure it out. I think I played without a monitor or a microphone all night, and you guys were, I don't know, there was something with your monitors too, or I don't know.
The whole PA system died in the middle of one of our new songs, and so we just kept going, of course, and I was just singing out loud with no PA. It was
Yeah, the mics
interesting.
went out or
Yeah,
something. Yeah, there was like a pop and gone.
still not the worst show.
Nope.
Didn't make the list.
No.
Bob Minter says that More Than Mary was a high point for him at Mile Music.
Oh,
thank
thanks,
you.
Bob.
Thank you.
Mile Music this year was obviously a little different. We mentioned the bus was not present.
Correct.
The crowd seemed there though.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
I think they were eager to see music, and not having Mile last year. Yeah, they were out. They were supportive, so that was good.
You guys also had a great performance at the Electric City Experience
Oh yeah.
That was a good
in
one. too.
June, which they were one of the first festival things in the area to announce that they were coming back, and then I
Yeah.
think Mile a week later announced that they were going to do it again. So lots of great stuff around here. Have you guys had an experience going to the Steel Bridge up in Green Bay?
No,
No.
Same here.
I think we've played in Green Bay just one time, and the place closed now.
Yeah.
What was that called?
Fatheads.
Fatheads, yeah.
Fatheads 2.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Fatheads 2 closed down?
Yeah.
It did, yeah.
Like a week after we played there.
yeah. It was that good of a show.
Yeah.
No other bands can play here.
We can't match it. We close.
But I think that was the only time we've played in Green Bay, ever.
Yeah, I can't recall
Frets
anything
and
else.
Friends, but that was pre-Ricardo.
That's right, yep.
Yeah, that doesn't count anymore.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
It's not canon.
Besides Deja Vu, what are some of your favorite places to play? Venues.
Gibson has obviously got to be up there.
Yes.
I will say, from just since I've been playing music, Mill Creek, which is now the Bent Keg, was always one of my favorites. I don't know that they do much for music anymore. I mean, I know they did at Mile, but I think they're less of a music venue now, more of just kind of a bar. But that was always a great one with that elevated stage in the back, and I loved playing there.
I like the Beer Factory.
Mhm.
I love to see what's going on there. Just
Mark's got that
music
place running
constantly, and he treats you very well. It's a good place to go.
Is there a place that you guys just like to see shows, not play shows? Probably the same
Yeah.
places you
Yeah.
just mentioned.
Yeah, exactly.
Easily, yeah.
So there's quite a few more venues. Last week I had Iftikhar on, and we're talking about the amount of places to play now versus like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you guys credit that shift to Mile of Music?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mile, I think, has to be credited for the kind of explosion of original music.
Yeah.
I mean, because 10 years ago, it was cover bands. Everywhere was cover bands, and if you were an original band, there was kind of like a stigma, like and Mile kind of made it okay to like and go see original music, and venues kind of opened up to that. Everybody kind of got on board, and yeah, now it's just, I think it's probably more original music around here than it is cover music. You get some of the kind of out of the way bars that'll still have the cover bands and stuff like that, where people can just go get drunk and sing along. But I think it's more almost like an artisanal thing around here. It's there's a culture to it, and a lot of the bars and the venues, I think, have picked up on that, and everybody's kind of coming out, in a good spot because of it.
And I love, as opposed to the old days, for instance, after practice, you want to go out and see some music. It used to be like, well, it's Thursday, it's not Saturday, there's no bands. And basically every night of the week right now,
Yeah.
there's music somewhere. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's cover, one individual person or a band, it's every night there's something, and that's fairly new. You know, and I love that.
Yeah, we used to have to go do karaoke after band
Right.
practice.
The
Yes.
the name More Than Mary. I've had discussions about, what with Renee Millard about what the name means, because it's more than Mary, more it's more than Mary. Like, is that you have more and then you're Mary? What's the reason?
Oh,
What's the meaning behind the
That's
name?
his fault.
Yeah, we always look at Chris for this one.
He always gets stuck with that story because it's his fault.
it's my fault. Yeah. There's been multiple things I've said. There's stock answers. Yesterday I was saying like, well, if you're really into math and magic 8 balls, that's kind of and word magnets. That's kind of how it got developed. But it's just another line of BS in the whole how'd you get the band name story. Um, if you see our logo, I tell people like a comma doesn't look good in a round logo, or like on Wheel of Fortune, no one ever buys a comma because they're expensive. but uh, I guess the most realist answer is former drummer Mitch. He had come up with this idea of what would be the total opposite of the band, less than Jake, and it turned into More Than Mary. And there was such a, why not? I mean, we were at the time, we weren't even a band. I mean, didn't have a set list yet, so it was kind of like, sure, why not? Let's see what happens. Uh,
Kind of like
and I'm-
the Foo Fighters. Dave Grohl said if he would have known that they were going to blow up like that, he'd have picked a better band name.
yeah, there's nothing wrong with fighting Foo.
And we've got one guy that comes to see our shows. His name is Dane, and he made a shirt with our logo on it. It says "Less Than Larry."
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
He took it a step further.
You guys were okay with the name when Chris brought it up?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't in the band yet, so I didn't have a choice. It was take it or leave it for me. I took it.
You've got a couple albums that I know you. I think you recorded them before More Than Mary. The Grin Central Station and the Basement tapes.
Oh yes.
Too? Was that like you guys didn't have the More Than Mary name at that point, or you did?
I think we had the More Than Mary name like early on. It was a guy named Jake on guitar and then Mitch on drums. We had the name, and we were just putting songs together and stuff. And I've got an 8-track recorder that I record like all our practices and stuff with, just because if lightning in a bottle would happen, it's probably not recording. So I try to record everything. But we'd start mixing our own demos before we'd try to get established and just have something out there without spending any money on it, because we weren't making any money. So there was a Basement Tapes 1, Basement Tapes 2. I think there's a Grin Central Station 2. So Basement Tapes is an early demo. Grin Central Station is a concept album of jams.
I say there's no vocals on that.
No, it's all like warm-up jams from practice, or like sound check jams, all from practice. Just 3 guys coming together and trying to get on the same page. So we just start cranking something out and get lined up, and then we start working on some tunes.
Is any of that going to be revisited for maybe a future song?
Yes, that is actually, I've got an iTunes or playlist or whatever, make into songs or turn to songs or whatever, and we just put it in there. And when we get together, it's always hard to look back. We always just want to move forward, but I've got this compiling list of stuff. So there's going to be a time when I get through and I can like edit little loops together and create the songs out of the jams that we've got. That's the plan.
Yeah, because we still do that. We get together, and a lot of times somebody will start noodling something, and one of us will, that I can do this with, and it turns into just 10 minutes of jamming, and it's all recorded, like Chris said, lightning in a bottle, And we've had quite a few where we're like, we should turn that into a song, and maybe that's a good idea. Make an album out of past jams. I don't know, but yeah, it's great because you can go back and get ideas from maybe something you did where you weren't even trying to do something, So I think it's a good idea that we do that.
Yep. Good warm up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel that over time songwriting is getting harder or easier? And do you feel pressure to keep releasing and keep writing?
I don't feel pressure to keep writing. I want to keep writing. Is it harder or easier? It goes in streaks. I think anybody that writes songs knows that. During the pandemic, I wrote a song a day for many days. And then you start working on them and finishing them, so you take the new songs take a back seat. And currently, it feels like I haven't written anything in years. But I'm working on a couple of things, but it goes in streaks for sure. Goes in streaks.
We're kind of expanding a little bit too. Like on the last album, it didn't make it to the album, but we had kind of a concept to have Chris and I do more of the songwriting too, to try and get more of a blend to it. Like I said, none of our stuff we didn't have it done in time for the album when we were in the studio, but that might probably make its way out eventually too, where Chris is writing lyrics and I'm writing lyrics and bringing our ideas to the band and saying, here, do what you want with it, but rather than having Rex come up with kind of the whole backbone of the song and see maybe where that goes. Maybe if it starts from a different place, maybe it'll kind of have a different feel to it. So something we're exploring. So
You guys released a video called Down, which was a nice multi-camera video of you guys recording. I'm guessing at Rock Garden Studios.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was that put out during the quarantine, the initial quarantine, or was that before?
We released a single,
Yeah.
but I can't remember when.
I think it was right after the quarantine. And the song isn't about quarantine, by the way. It's older than that, but it fits. I think we recorded it and released it. The mix down of the video was shortly after quarantine, I think.
I don't know. When was
Somewhere
quarantine?
around
good
there.
answer.
It was in the last couple of years.
So when Truth came out, did you guys end up doing a release show for that?
No,
Not yet.
not yet. Right.
I've been talking to a lot of bands that put out stuff in the last couple of years that haven't done like a proper CD release show.
Mm-hmm.
When you guys get a CD, obviously when it's shipped to you, you're excited. You finally have the product in your hand. How does that? Tell me how that feels like to get that product and to finally get it out into the world. Is there regret that you left certain things in the tracks, or does it just feel good to get it done?
It's a satisfying feeling to see like your work done. But as far as regret, I guess if you listen to all our albums and then go see a show, there's a lot of stuff that we play different. Not different, but we add things, or just it evolves. Even after we record, it evolves. So sometimes I look back and I go, I wish I would have done that on the recording. But it is what it is. You know what I mean? It's I don't know that I'd call it regret though. Just I don't know, accepting that it changes. But
Acceptance.
Yeah.
Well, drums. You mentioned like sometimes the recording process is to do the drums first. So there might be dynamics that are changed after the fact.
mm-hmm.
Chad or Chris might put something down, and all of a sudden, maybe you wish you would have done it a certain way.
Yeah.
We're getting a phone call right now. You are on with More Than Mary. What's your question?
Hi, we were just wondering if you could have a superhero power, what would it be and why?
Oh, good question.
Wow. I'd like to fly. Why? I don't know. So much going on all the time. Like can't be in two places at once, but you can get there a lot faster.
I think I'd like to be able to deflect negativity. Just like,
That's deep.
well, I mean,
Your superhero name would be Teflon Man.
better than like Kevlar Chris or something like that.
That could work too.
I mean, it's like most of the time. I'm Mary. I'm pretty much more than Mary. So it's like do, and then people got to be. I try not to read internet comments, and you get down that rabbit hole, and it's like just shut my phone off and
Haters gonna hate.
go be Mary.
Yeah. I think mine would be to know anything I wanted to know. Like just to have the ability to know anything. Truth through whatever,
Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That would probably my brain would probably explode. That's you know what I mean? That's probably too much for anybody to handle, but I'd give it a try.
Well,
You
if
guys know how it goes.
Yeah, you could teach him how to fly and
Yeah.
show him how to deflect negativity.
Yeah, there you go.
You know how?
Yeah.
We had the news a week ago that Mr. G,
Yeah.
the guy that started the exclusive company, passed away. And as far as music stores, when you guys were growing up, was the Appleton exclusive where you went to shop for music, or did you have other places?
I did Oshkosh exclusive. I've lived in Appleton and Oshkosh, and my dad lives on the border of Neenah and Oshkosh, and I would ride my bike into downtown Oshkosh to buy long box CDs.
Remember those?
And ride my BMX like 45 minutes into town to buy music, playing tapes on my Walkman to get there and back. But Appleton, yeah, walk there to visit my mom. Not my mom. When she lives in Appleton, my mom's stories always come into this. Something gets weird, but yes, I went to exclusive.
I remember when I first started going there, I was about 14, and it was my memory says that it was mostly vinyl. And then, there was CDs, of course, and then vinyl kind of went away for a while, and now it's mostly vinyl again. I think that's pretty cool.
And I actually grew up in Menominee, Michigan. No ties to the song Menominee. And we had a music land in the mall, and it was your standard box music store. But I mean, as a kid, I always listened to WAPL, and I'd always heard Mr. G on and it seemed like the exclusive company was like this, like its own big mall of music, and it was always like, I always was like, what is this place? And like, I think when I finally got a driver's license, I went down to Green Bay and visited one, and I was like, well, like that was 10 times more than any music store I'd ever seen before. So it was pretty fascinating. But yeah, and then I mean, since I moved down here, that was kind of the place. You could find obscure stuff and local stuff, and you know what I mean. It wasn't just your top 40 hits. You know what I mean. They had music. They didn't just have what's marketable. So
Remember they used to have not a lot, but they had a selection of bootlegs, which I always liked because you couldn't really, now you can get anything on the internet, but back then it was, finding a Nirvana bootleg or something.
sure.
Pay way too much for
Yeah,
it,
I
but
was
it's
gonna
totally
say.
worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, they were expensive, but like you said, they had unique things that like a Sam Goody or a Music Land
Yeah.
didn't have. But
Well, and if you were looking for something new too, you know what I mean? That's the place you were going to find it. Like, you weren't going to go to like the music store where I grew up and find, I don't know, just an underground band. You weren't going to find that. If it wasn't on the radio, you couldn't buy it there. An exclusive company changed that.
we had another question from Eric. I think you kind of answered this a little bit, but he wants to know what your influence bands were. I think you said Chad Kiss was one of yours, right?
Yeah, definitely they got me into music. But Blind Melon is a huge part of my life, or was. I like Fish a lot. Led Zeppelin, classic rock. I'm a classic rock guy. But I always say Blind Melon. They were huge for me for a long, long time.
I mean, for me, it's weird because my influences are nothing like what we play or anything that I play, but I grew up a Dream Theater fan. Mike Portnoy is one of my all-time favorite musicians. But I can't touch his abilities. You know what I mean? Like, even if I got my superpower, I probably still wouldn't be able to keep up with him. But, since I've been down here, Cool Waters Band, Matt, like I said, Matt Gieske, there's a reason I took lessons from the guy. His drumming always fascinated me, and just their style of music. They kind of had a little bit of everything, a little roots rock, a little funk, a little blues, and I loved the variety. I loved the things that that came out of their music. So
And I started out young and weird, like Weird Al Yankovic and the Sex Pistols. That was like my two youngest bands that I remember. Then I got into like Talking Heads because I saw that weird video on MTV with the big face on the road. Yeah, doing all the weird stuff. Then at high school, I guess 70s classic. You get into the classic rock, and then you get into college, and then your playlist expands, and you're into all kinds of stuff. But
how is it that neither one of you mentioned Fish?
he said Fish.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, I must have zoned out there.
And Fish. Pish.
It was a really long answer.
Okay.
You were thinking about what you were going to say.
No, after like 5 seconds, I don't hear anything that comes out of
Sorry,
it.
what?
Yeah,
Do you guys all still buy vinyl?
I do.
I do, yeah.
Yes, I do too.
Like to go down there and browse through the used vinyl, and you find some gems for like $3 in fairly good shape.
Yeah.
That's always
Antique
a
malls
fun
and
time.
thrift stores have a good vinyl selection too.
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys have kids?
I do. I've got 3. I've got a 21-year-old son, 19-year-old daughter, and then a 15-year-old daughter as well.
So I wanted to ask you about your daughter. She is a phenomenal singer.
Thank you.
She was involved with Appleton Rock School.
Yeah, she still is. Yep.
So how does that feel? Are you mentoring her at all?
Yeah, I mean, we work together quite a bit. She's definitely taken off on her own. She's writing stuff. She's writing chord progressions, lyrics. Um, you can't train that, you know. So I'm mentoring her more on when she's got something I might suggest, put a bridge here or recording it and making sure, um, you know, she's tuning her guitar properly before we record and those kind of things, more technical. But the artistry of her, that's all her. Yeah. It's Amelia, by the way.
With the Appleton
She's
Rock.
good.
Yeah, very good. Like I said, I was blown away in Electric City. The Appleton Rock Band was performing in there, and I sat there and watched like most of that. It was just so her voice specifically like kind of caught me off guard. Would you recommend that Appleton Rock School program?
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, all three of my kids have been in the rock school. They all outgrew it because, they're older. But it's been great. Jason Lipsky has done a great job with that place. Done a good. He's been a great friend of the band. He's arranged a lot of shows for us and helped us out a lot over the years. So I really appreciate that. And again, with my daughter there, she takes lessons from Joe, guitar lessons, and then she does the band there, and she loves it. And it's a good experience for her. It's been great.
All right, well, we've got about 14 minutes left.
Whoa.
If you've got those questions, get them in. Bob Minter said for sale, one Oxford comma.
Nice.
How
Gently
much?
used, no lowball offers. I know what I got. Is there any, we talked about bands you like in the area, but do you have any advice for up and coming bands that might not have played their first show? They might just be forming. Is there anything that you wish when the band was getting off the ground that you would have known then that you know now?
Think less, worry less,
Yeah.
and just play.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, just the number one reason I think you play music is to have fun and just to express
Yeah.
yourself. Just make sure you don't lose focus on that, Who cares if you make a mistake? Who cares if, it doesn't matter. You're doing what you love, you're making art. That's all that matters.
Yeah, there's a lot of the times, starting an original band is tough because you got like 20 minutes worth of music, so you got to find either a cover band to open for or two or three more other original artists to work with. So in the beginning, it was a lot of work, and we're not getting any recognition. And that's the point where, like Rick says, or Rex says, stop thinking, just do your thing. It'll happen over time. Stop stressing about it. And just by not stressing about it, it just happens. Like you look back and you've got a packed room at Mile of Music, and you see people singing your lyrics across the room. It just happens.
Well, and don't lie to yourself too. I mean, that right there that you just explained, that's nobody's first show. You know what I mean? Like you
True.
can't, when you're just getting started. I know you probably are inspired or influenced by phenomenal bands that you see, and you see crowds and they're saying like the thing you just explained, and you want that, and that's why you do it. But if you don't get that for a year, 2 years, you know what I mean? Like don't discourage or don't get discouraged by that. You have to work and earn that. You're gonna suck the first show. I mean, maybe not, but probably. And if you do, who cares? But it takes time to get to where you're filling rooms and people are singing your songs. So just, don't think if that doesn't happen in the first two shows that you're a failure.
Yeah, do it for you, and
Yeah.
it'll happen.
Yeah. If you had fun, it was a good show.
Yeah, and don't worry about what everybody else is doing
Yeah.
band-wise. Just do your thing.
Almost the opposite of that. Like, you know what I mean? Nobody wants to be just like, nobody looks at a band and says, I want to be exactly like that. You know what I mean? You just, be who you are. And if you're different, that's probably a good thing. So don't use that, or don't look at that as like, that's a negative. Like, oh, we don't sound like anybody, or, nobody's doing this, so we should probably change it. No, like, blow them away with your uniqueness. If if
Yes.
that's what comes out, that's what comes out.
Spell that band name incorrectly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think one thing I noticed when Mile of Music started, it seemed like everybody wanted to not everybody, but some people wanted to kind of switch genres towards Americana because that's kind of what they were targeting at the time, and everybody wanted to play Mile of Music. But I'll give Mile credit. They've expanded. Like they've got everything now.
Yeah.
Right.
They still have the Americana. They've got singer-songwriter. They've got rock. They've got funk,
Hip hop.
hip hop. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my favorite bands that I saw there were like Radio Church blew me away. It was a rock band playing like hip hop, and I was like, wow, you never, I mean, maybe you do see it. I've never seen anything like that though. They were just mind blowing.
Do you guys try to do networking at Mile? Are you out there introducing yourself to some of the other bands, or are you more just observing and moving on?
This year there wasn't much time for anything but playing. Historically, I've just been kind of observing and walking up and down the street and seeing what I can see. I haven't really focused on networking. It just kind of happens when you stop at places, you meet people.
Well, I was gonna say that too. Like, I know a lot of artists, like when they get their lanyard, they'll like put it in their pocket or something. And like I always wear mine, and I think it's cool. Like this last Mile, I was at Beatnik Betty's, and ran into a guy from Searcy, band out of New York. We started talking about the band Wild Adriatic because they're from the same place, and ended up talking with the guy for 15, 20 minutes, and they came and saw us. I went to go see them. Like, that's, I guess, as far as networking, I didn't try to, but it just happens. But I think that's cool. Like, I guess my suggestion is, if you're at Mile, like keep your lanyard out. Like, let people see you're a musician, and it might start a conversation with somebody from across the country that maybe you wouldn't have known to talk to. So, I don't know.
I know for people that aren't familiar with how Mile works, there is like a catering room where you can go into. It's all the musicians, and they let them in there, grab a bite to eat, or just sit there. And yeah, it is sometimes a little difficult because you don't know how many shows they've played before. You guys mentioned you were really running around this year, but we had another question here. What is the most exciting or the most funny experience each of you have had related to the music scene?
At one of our recent shows at Appleton Beer Factory, I was engaging somebody, a group at the front table, and they were not even aware that I was talking to them. And the whole rest of the crowd was aware that I was talking to them, so it was like silence, and then the rest of the room kind of started laughing. It was just hilarious to me and everyone else.
I think the time that you walked on fire was pretty cool.
I was just going to say that.
That's right.
There was we played a outdoor show at Fletch's. I think it was after Main Street Music. It wasn't Main Street Music, I don't think.
No, it was not.
And they set up a stage outside, and they have a big long, gas like propane fire pit. Chris with his wireless bass decides there's one song.
Two songs.
Show of the Year, right?
Show of the Year.
Yeah, where he doesn't do any background vocals, so he's like, I'm free. And he just wanders off, and sometimes you can't find him for half the song. But we look out, and he's walking across, like one leg on each side of this fire pit, like just chestnuts roasting on open fire, like. And the people out there are just loving it. And it's like, I don't know. Chris is kind of our hype man. He's the dancer. Yeah. He's got all the good moves. He wanders through the crowd. Crowd participation. He's the guy. Don't get me wrong. I would do that if I didn't have to stay behind a kid. But
right.
So I'm glad you do.
Michelle wonders the fishing incident.
That was Appleton Beer Factory.
Oh, that was
the.
Yes.
The guy lured you in or whatever.
Yes, exactly. I do that to people, where it's like, I hook them and I reel them in and stuff. And I went out into the audience a little bit, and I got back up on stage because I had done my thing. And then I looked back out there, and then there was a crowd that was like, come on. And I was like, oh, whatever. And then they reeled me in, and I'm like, it's on. So I don't know if we got footage of that, or I've also like beeline off the stage and then went and just jammed out right in front of this group of people in the middle of the audience. I'm kind of an attention whore. So
The good kind.
Yeah.
You have reasonable rates.
Yes. I have a love-hate relationship with attention.
Which I love because it then takes the focus off me. Everybody just watches you. So I can just sing and play and stand there.
Yeah, but try to walk down College Avenue after hours. And aren't you guy from More Than Mary? It's like, yeah, sure. They're only looking at me.
Do you guys feel that CDs are worth making now? Or do you have conversations about should we even put this out on CD anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever get away from it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't listen to CDs. Most people don't. But if you're coming to a show, it's real easy to hand a CD to somebody and here's your music. So I think we're going to continue to do it.
And I mean, just having that physical. I mean, and this might be a bad analogy, but let's say your soccer team wins a tournament, they give you a trophy, right? You can put that on your shelf, and you still have that. Like this. Not that a CD is a trophy, but I mean, if they just said, "Hey, you won, good job," well, the next day you got nothing to show for it. Same with if we just release digital music, there's nothing to show for it. This is kind of like our own little trophy, kind of. I don't know. Like I keep a copy of everything I've ever recorded. It's just I don't know, but I'm kind of a memento, whatever word I'm trying to say for things you keep.
Pimento.
Yeah, that's it.
Sargento.
And it's not as cool to be like, here, buy our USB stick.
Right,
We
yeah.
haven't transitioned into that technology yet.
Yeah.
I still like cover art and reading liner
Oh,
notes
right.
and stuff like that. I love it.
Do you guys do your own artwork for the CDs?
Yeah, we've this last one we did, No Ceiling. We brought in Treble Stigan to do the photo on the cover. The first one,
First one, I think I just
Chris
bootlegged
did.
off of Google.
Yeah, we just it has a picture of a record, and we made a fake label,
Yeah.
like a record label with our band name and the track list on it.
Yeah.
So if you look real close, you can see that. But
The latest release is actually me. with the
Yeah, I
uni-
know that the
yeah.
creepy horse head.
Yeah. I was going to a themed party dressed as a unicorn, and that was actually black tights with a women's rainbow swimsuit over the top. And I that night helped me understand why women carry purses, because there was no pockets, and so I was stuffing my keys and my phone like in the crotch area because that's where it wasn't going to fall out. But yeah, short story long, that was me.
and these two thought I was joking when I sent them that
Yeah.
picture. For
Yeah,
the
he's like,
cover.
"Hey,
I'm
I think this should be the album
and
cover."
I
And
put
I
the
was like,
logo up there.
"Good
I'm
one."
like, I like this. Like, seriously? I'm like, yep, dead serious.
Truth.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked. I couldn't tell if it was kind of joking. I think it was. But do you have material for the next album already started?
Yeah, started. Definitely not finished.
I'd say we probably have a couple, yeah.
Yeah.
2, 3, couple, 2, 3.
we're gonna debut one tonight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
let's talk again about if people want to go see you guys tonight. Deja Vu.
Yeah. 8 o'clock.
8:30.
8 o'clock.
Between 8 and 8:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, because well,
Around 8.
yeah.
Note that I'm here and not in Whitewater right now.
Oh, I didn't know if you were going there after this.
No,
Oh, so
it
then-
got canceled and moved to Friday.
Well, I've been telling everybody 8:30, so
Well, we'll be warmed up.
whenever
we'll
there's
be
more
there.
than 10 people, we'll start.
Are you guys playing for like 2 hours?
We're scheduled 8 to 11 or 8:30 to 11:30 or
Yeah.
something
Yeah,
like
that's a
3-hour
pretty
window.
nice window if people want to get there and
Yeah.
check out some of. So you'd
Yeah.
probably be doing like 3 sets or something,
that would
or
make
just
more
playing
sense.
all the way through.
That would make more sense.
Yeah.
You're going to get all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. In 3 hours, you're gonna get every song we
Yeah,
know.
and if we run out, we're gonna just do spoken word for a little bit.
With some, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys throw any covers into your sets?
Ish.
We have one on the list, but well, actually, we do have two on the list, but one of them's a Kurt Gunn cover.
Yeah. We covered a Kurt Gunn song.
I mean, that
once.
technically doesn't.
He came to a show once and actually sang his own. He sang our cover of his song. I don't know how you.
Yeah, it's in a
but-
different key and everything. So
Yeah.
it's-
Is it one that you play drums on the album?
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
it's a pretty
technically,
easy
that's
one.
one of your songs, and then
I don't own it.
yeah, right.
It's
25%.
It's the song "Let It Go." We all liked that, so I don't know.
But yeah, we've
Actually, we played that for like the first time we played that. We played it at Deja Vu, and he was in the audience, and we started playing it, and he was like,
he was on his phone and
Yeah.
all
like,
like
yeah, like his head snapped.
do you guys like sharing, Rick? Or does it cause any problems with double bookings?
I think maybe one time we couldn't do a show, and this is like a couple of years ago. It's been a long time, and usually there's
Yeah.
no issues whatsoever.
I've only double booked twice, because usually when I get something, I anybody else like, hey, I'm busy this day, so I don't even remember how that happened. It was something that wasn't going to happen, but then it did, and so I booked something else, and that was a Fletcher show. We had to move that to the next day or something like that for Main Street.
Yeah.
So I was playing with Kurt at Fox River House.
as a younger musician, I was, jealous about other members. It's like you're cheating on me playing in another band. But over time, it's like, no, it's just a big open community.
We had time for one more question. It's from Bob Minter. He asks, do you feel your style of music would translate better on vinyl? I think that's kind of coming off the conversation we had about the CD stuff.
I'd like to hear it on vinyl.
Yeah.
I think some of the tracks would be really cool
Yeah.
on vinyl.
Yeah, I think like what you said, like
Warmer.
the first album, I think would probably translate to vinyl better. Those were kind of more mellowish, whatever. But I think, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to hear them.
Definitely.
All right, well, I want to thank you guys for joining me today on Fox Cities Core.
Yeah, thanks for having
Thanks
us.
for having us.
If this is your first time tuning in to Core, we're on every Saturday morning live, 9 a.m. to 10. And just tune into Code Zero Radio. You can hear great artists like More Than Mary. And we've got an app out. I don't know if you guys have checked out the app, but there's a request button. So if you wanted to request More Than Mary, you can do that right from the app. Lots of cool features, lots of great music from the Fox Cities. I want to thank you guys for joining me. It was a pleasure getting to sit down with you guys and
Thank
learn
you, Andy.
more. And
Yeah.
hopefully you guys are playing again very soon.
Hope so.
A December show so I can make it to that one.
Yeah.
Tonight, Deja Vu, though, 8 or 8:30.
8-ish.
8-ish.
All right. Goodbye, everybody, and thank you for
Thank you.
tuning in for Fox
Thank
Cities
you.
Core.